It's like the one song I hum all the time.
The Bender.
The Bender song,
Bender.
yep.
Hey, I see us.
All right.
Ready or not, here we go. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 207. Your once weekly live show for the latest in beer and tech news. I'm Jeff.
I'm John.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on the replay on Anchor.fm or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, usually some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize my channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat and we'll give some shout outs as we go along. And if you'd like to join the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon or Float Plane. Links are both down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rhett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and take part in the awesome and ever-growing community that hangs out over there.
There we go.
Welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to you, John.
Thank you. Yes, it's a little different.
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly, not much. You're like, it's still your face.
Yeah, I mean, I still have to look at you. It's
the same thing. I don't know. I actually look a little clearer. It looks like it's coming in a little better.
You're a little crispy. It looks good.
Yeah. My upload is much nicer here.
Nice.
So it's a decent upload actually. So I get 50 uploads, 50 up. So it's like, hey, I can manage with 50.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I get here. So, and I bet you don't even pay extra for it.
No, I don't.
Ask me what my internet bill is. Good Lord. Oh, it has been a week. I mean, I'm complaining, but John, you have a lot more to complain about than I do. I mean, you've got some celebration, but
I got celebration, but it's back-breaking.
Getting
labor.
to that celebration.
Yeah. So it's
why don't you tell us about your week?
Oh man. So as you can see, there's not the standard background. I moved. I have a new studio being built as of today.
Nice.
If you are on the super secret Discord, you will have seen the foundation being laid. So I have a brand new 200 square foot studio being built. I know it's not quite as large as some of the other YouTubers, but for my mere beer drinking channel, I think it'll be great. But right now I'm in the middle of a move. If you've ever watched Jeff's moving vlog from a year and a half ago, I think.
Gosh, yeah, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
December 19. Yep.
It's basically I'm doing the exact same thing. It's just a real big pain in the butt. And unfortunately, the house that we moved into was kind of a sad story. The previous owners passed away, and they left all their stuff.
Yeah.
So we had to deal with that. But we got a good deal out of it because of that. So I was like, yeah, take $30,000 off. I'll take care of it.
Yeah.
You know,
that's one way to get a house in this market. I mean,
that
seriously.
Is. So yeah, celebration, and then I have a surprise for people who follow me and on your Discord. A little last minute celebration to end my reign over my old place. Should be coming out either Friday or Monday.
Oh, that video.
It'll be fun.
That video.
Yeah, that video. So
which I may or may not make a guest appearance in.
Maybe. Who knows? Who knows? I think the last edit was at 15 minutes, so I got to cut that down.
I'd say leave it.
Yeah.
Let's just go long form on that one.
I want to get like some good cuts in there.
Yeah.
Is the thing. I think I could shave 2 minutes off, something like that. Maybe a minute.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Try to keep it like 12. Something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, should be fun. Other than that, how are you? I know you've been busy these past weekends.
I have been insanely busy this month in general. For those who don't know, I have managed a haunted house for the last, almost 15 years now. Basically, I do that every October. So every weekend in October, I am at a haunted house taking care of staffing and customer flow and breaking things that go wrong and all that kind of stuff. So that's been taking up a fair number of my weekend evenings as of late. As far as the weekdays, those have not gotten any easier with an 8-month pregnant wife.
Oh yeah, that's coming along soon.
Coming up pretty quick. So yeah, I mean, there's things that normally she would just take care of around the house that, and to be clear, I am not complaining. I am not complaining here whatsoever, but she can't reach to the bottom of the washing machine anymore. Physical limitations. Yeah. So she'll walk into my office while I'm trying to film and she goes, "So I got most of the laundry switched, but there's like a layer on the bottom that's still there."
You could see what you need to. You'd see that the jerk move would be like, go buy her one of those arm grabber things. Here you go, babe. I fixed it for you.
I was gonna get her the T-Rex T-shirt with the 2 extendable arms that says "I'm unstoppable."
Yeah.
I was totally gonna do that.
And then Jeff would have been filming with a black eye for the next month.
It's a great thing. I mean, we've been together forever. We've been together. We got together in 2003. So we've been together for 18 years now. So
yeah,
that's crazy to think about. But yeah, I didn't realize that it was already 8:01. Otherwise, I would have actually gotten into a small costume because it is technically Halloween episode.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Today's the 27th. Yeah.
I have a sombrero I'm seeing I can go grab.
Yeah. So I was going to show off my costume for this year. I have the coat over here, but I'm not going to go put that on. Instead, I think I'm just going to do this, and you guys should probably get the idea. So this is my homemade Corvo Attano mask from Dishonored. This is, gosh, I want to say, how long did this take to print? This is almost 40 hours in printing. Just print time, not finishing, not painting, not weathering or anything like that. But I have to say, this is probably my favorite thing that I've ever 3D printed so far. This was a heck of a lot of work. This is all hand-wrapped copper wire down here holding the jaw in. Did all the cloth work and everything else, did all the weathering. So there's a lot to this mask, and it's accurate inside and out to what it is in Dishonored. So...
See, no, put it back on, and then this will be our thumbnail.
That'll be the thumbnail. Okay. There we go. Hold on. I'm going to screen cap it just in case we don't actually get it. So, there we go. And we need... Okay, ready, John? 3, 2, 1. All right, we got it.
All right, there we go.
I love it. So, yeah, that is my homemade Dishonored mask. And I've got a whole costume that's going with it, too. So that was a lot of fun. I've been spending probably too much time, perfectly honest. But it's completely done now. And yeah, really excited to get to wear it this weekend. So anyway, it is Halloween weekend, Halloween week. I have, actually, some seasonal beers, or some themed beers, I should say. 2 of them are seasonal, 1 of them is not. How
many of them are pumpkin?
1.
Ah.
Ooh. Jeff.
He got a pumpkin beer.
Bought a pumpkin beer.
Oh, it wasn't even given to him.
No, this is not even out of John's collection that I stole when he wasn't looking. No, this is genuinely one that I purchased myself. So I have 3 options. I'll probably end up drinking 2 of them. First off is a standard I just grabbed because we got the Skull and Crossbones. It is Quilter's Irish Death, 7.8% strong ale, dark smooth strong ale, excuse me. They are absolutely fantastic. It is a regular, and if Costco near you carries beer, you can get this now for like $6 for a 4-pack, which is, normally I was happy paying like $8 a pint. This is $6 for 4 pints. Yeah. So it is a phenomenal beer at that price point. Next up is another kind of local. They're local-ish. They're one of the largest beers that are local to us. That is from Rogue Brewing over in Newport, Oregon. It is the Dead and Dead. So this is their seasonal Dead Guy Ale, which has actually been aged in Dead Guy whiskey barrels.
Yes.
And it's a fantastic annual release.
That is a very good beer.
Lastly, I have a gluten-free pumpkin beer.
What?
Yes. This is the Lunar Harvest Pumpkin Ale from Ghost Fish Head.
I was going to say,
or Ghost Fish Brewing up in Seattle. Yeah. This is a 100% gluten-free facility. I buy beer from here all the time, as my wife is celiac. She has celiac disease. This is a 5%, but supposedly pretty decent. So I think I'm going to start with the pumpkin, and then we'll kind of see where the night takes us. So
I will also start with a pumpkin. I have,
of course you will, because you have 3 of them.
Well, yeah. I have Energy City Brewing Bistro Pumpkin Cobbler.
Pumpkin Cobbler.
Yeah, so it is a jammy sour pumpkin beer. So I unfortunately do not have a glass. I will be reading it up tonight.
Yep. He doesn't even have a desk.
Nope.
Just a stool and a camera.
Yep, I have this little stool thing that holds my laptop up. That's about it. So, contains real fruit. That's it. Wow, thanks.
Is it chewy? Is it chunky? That's what I want to know, because you said jammy sour with a pumpkin. I'm wondering if there's still seeds in it myself.
I don't taste really a whole lot of pumpkin. It just tastes like an apple cobbler. Like you taste the cinnamon, the allspice. You even taste the toasted oatmeal and brown sugar, like that crust.
You know, if that's the way they went with it, I don't think I would be too disappointed with it.
And there's even a buttery characteristic to it.
Nice.
So it tastes like a cobbler.
Yeah.
I just don't really taste pumpkin.
Yeah.
I get more apple, maybe even peach, because those are the 2 cobblers that I usually, are getting.
Right. This definitely has pumpkin on it. There's pumpkin right on the nose. Very nice. Not like your pumpkin pie or even like a pumpkin spice style thing. This is a very sweet pumpkin with maybe just a hint of cinnamon. But it's not a sweet leaning aroma. It's not bad. It's a little thin. It's definitely a little thin. Let's see. That's actually a pretty decent pumpkin note in there. It's not overpowering at all. It's, like I said, it's very thin. It's very light-bodied. I would have wanted something a little bit thicker, maybe. Normally we'd say a little maltier, but as you can't put malt in these drinks, I wish there was something else, some grain that would just add a little something to the body.
You want some body,
right?
Or more of like a red ale-esque
flavor. Give me an Irish
fun.
red style body with this kind of flavor, and I think that's a great match. Like it's certainly not bad. Don't get me wrong. This is a 3.0 on Untapped. If I were to rate it.
Oh wow. We got some other people actually having some pumpkin beers. We have Michael Stevens, Epic Brewing Imperial Pumpkin Porter. Nice, 8.9%. John J. enjoying a Juice Machine Double IPA 8.6 by Treehouse Brewing. Yes, I even did a review on that a long time ago.
Yes.
Excellent beer. He was showing pictures to everyone on the Discord, making everyone jealous
of his trip to Treehouse Brewing.
Yeah,
which by the way, that's a beautiful facility.
Oh yeah,
I just have to say.
Novella Hub's got Hoppin' Frog Brewery 15th anniversary bourbon barrel aged strong ale, 15%. Magic Rat is having one of your favorites, Jeff, Benchmark Bourbon.
Good old Buffalo Trace.
Yep. If you haven't seen Jeff's video, it's a little bit older one, Magic.
Water cooling with whiskey.
He water cools it computer with Benchmark Bourbon.
Yep.
So go check that out if you haven't seen it.
That was a fun video.
Let's see, who else do we have? I've got a Crowler of Lightbridge Brewing, Elevated Amber Ale. That was William McDowell.
Say
Jason.
We do have a super chat from Nicholas.
Okay.
So $5. Thank you so much, Nick. Hey, Jeff, what are your thoughts on the AMD 4700S? Personally, I think the limited I/O is a deal breaker, even if they were easy to get a hold of. Let me refresh my own memory here on what the specs were before I start talking out of my ass. Yeah, it is their 8-core processor. It's their Zen 2 low power kit, if I remember correctly. Yes. Hold on.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. No, this is the dead PS5 chips, just like the dead Xbox One board that I reviewed not long ago. They're gonna be low power. They're APU systems with Vega graphics. I believe it's RDNA 2 based Vega, but still Vega graphics, and Zen 2 architecture. So you get decent single-threaded performance, but you're also limited to around 2 to 2.2 gigahertz, which is not going to set the world on fire. I will say they are a far sight better than the Xbox One chip that I took a look at a little while back. What was that? The 9350, based on AMD Bulldozer. Was it Bulldozer Pile Driver? Gosh, what was that thing based on? I don't remember. Yeah, it's a an FX based chip that was 8 cores, 8 threads, had an APU, and couldn't do crap because it was so borked by both Windows drivers and hardware limitations, because this was a slashed down chip for consoles that was further slashed down because of defective areas on the die, and then packaged onto a micro ATX board and resold for $100. Yes, the limited I/O, but for a home theater PC with RDNA 2 and a 4700S, 8-core chip, that's not a terrible deal. I haven't looked at the pricing on them, but my guess would be they're somewhere right around that 125 to 150 mark. In fact, let me just look that up real quick. D4700S, and of course I can't find an AliExpress listing right now. But anyway, Jaguar cores. Thank you. Yeah, depending on the price point of them, they could be a decent deal. I'm not going to base a gaming PC around them. I'm not going to pair it with a 3080 for crying out loud. But if all you do is game, it's not bad. Oh, 4700S doesn't have an iGPU. I could have swore they had RDNA 2. I guess not. Okay. Like I said, I haven't looked into them a ton. They were on my periphery, but I already had enough projects going on, and time was running short, so I just kind of ignored them. I do have a cool build coming out. Hopefully sometime tomorrow, though. So subscribe, keep watching, whatever. Whatever it is that you folks do that keeps me
Smash
employed.
that like and subscribe button.
Smash that subscribe. Hit the like. Delete the Facebook. Call your lawyer. Whatever it is that you do.
Go off the grid.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even get on the internet. Just make sure to subscribe. Have a bot. Always like everything. Go away.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I think. I think with 8 cores, Zen 2 architecture, regardless of what GPU pair with it, it'll be a decent little system. But like I said, it ain't gonna set the world on fire either. I believe the LTD video said that the PSU has to be replaced and around $1,000 cost. Okay, I think that was related to another conversation, which I wasn't having. People are complaining. Jeff Gearling's complaining about your frame right now. 24 FPS on the left and 60 FPS on the right. Actually, I'm only at 30, so John may... I noticed a little bit of stutter, but no, you look fine to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm smoother, but I'm also local.
You're smoother.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're really gonna complain.
Hide in Jeff's bushes while waiting for the next video. That's creepy. Michael says tech news. Yeah. We also say beer news, and we also hang out. Beer, tech, entertainment, games, Star Trek. We do a lot of things, and we did. We did 20 minutes of meandering. Usually, it's only 10, but that means less meandering at the end of the show, or just as much. Who knows? But speaking of tech news, a lot of you may know I'm a huge VR enthusiast, although it doesn't make it to my channel a lot. But I do play a lot of VR when I have the time. Anyway, Pimax is introducing a next generation headset based on a 12K QLED resolution. This thing sounds insane. Now, I reviewed the 5K plus Pimax, gosh, almost 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And it was a fantastic headset with a number of issues. Number one, it was fairly expensive. If I remember right, it was like $800. Now, as big of the field of view was, it was also a massive front-heavy headset with some, we'll just say, build issues, with some questionable cheap plastics that were used to hold it all together. Now, putting the headset on, once you got it running inside of Steam VR, is unlike anything I've ever tried. I mean, just having that field of view, you know, literally like 150-degree real field of view, and gosh, I think it was 120 vertically. It dwarfed every other VR headset I've ever tried. Vive Pro, Vive, Quest 2, everything I've ever tried pales in comparison to the immersion that you could get on the 5K plus headset. 12K QLED, man, that takes it to another place. Not only that, they made it so much smaller.
Yeah,
it's no longer like a hammerhead shark on the front of your face. It's reasonably sized now. Now, it's still larger than a lot of other VR headsets, but it's not twice the size of other VR headsets.
Yeah, I know. It really looked like you were having like two side mirrors, those extra side mirrors when you move a trailer or something. That's how wide the original one looked. And this one looks more like almost the original Oculus or something like that size, you know, but when it's 12K, okay, I will accept that.
Yeah.
Fine.
So a 12K display featuring dual 6K QLED displays. So take that with a grain of salt. Pimax always likes to double its K figure, even though they're counting just the horizontal resolution and ignoring the fact that 12K would be 4 times 6K, not 2 times 6K. Math. So dual 6K QLED panels with 4,400 local dimming elements. So as far as getting as near black as you can while not having the downfalls that come with OLED displays. You can have burn-in issues with OLED displays, especially if you play the same game with the same heads-up display in the same location day after day. You can start to get burn-in on headsets. But they also increase the field of view by almost 30 degrees on this headset.
210 degrees.
Yeah, which is, again, math is hard. 180 is full peripheral. And in fact, humans can only see about 160. And even then there's blind spots in between that our brain fills in. So realistically, it's probably closer to like 150, 160 degree field of view, which might as well be full 360 because...
Yeah. Well, yeah, when I was reading that, I was like, how are they even knowing that? Like, I wouldn't care because I can't see it.
Right.
So it's like, even if I did this,
we're
still
rendering
not
things
able to
behind you.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah. 110 brings you back to your ears. Like, or 210,
I don't need that. I mean, it's cool. It is cool to sit there and say that you can do that. I wonder if it helps. No, because it's like with processing, so it doesn't have to, scan so much. But still, it's VR, so no.
Right.
I don't see the reason behind it. It's more of just seems that particular one seems more of just a benchmark of puffiness of look what we do.
Maybe, but I will say, as I said at the intro to this, that Pimax 5K headset is the most immersive VR experience I have had. Now, It takes a tank of a PC to drive it. In fact, I probably need to dig it back out and try it again with my 3090 because I think I might be able to hit 90 FPS on some games now finally. But I was benchmarking it with a 1070, and the 1070 was struggling in even some simple games. Like Gorn was averaging about 60 FPS when you really need to be at 90. And there were a number of other games that struggled as well. Even the lab had slowdowns down into the 50s and 60s. There are a couple of things that I am genuinely excited with this headset, though. Obviously the bigger field of view, obviously, hopefully the elimination of the screen door effect, although there's only like one headset that's actually eliminated the screen door effect, and it's $6,000. And I don't even remember the manufacturer, but basically they do a hybrid QLED LCD dual display thing with a set of mirrors, and they lay one image on top of the other, so you get the benefits of LCD and the benefits of OLED with a wide field of view. But in the center of your vision, there is no screen door effect whatsoever. And on your periphery, where there is a screen door effect, it doesn't matter. Drawing a blank on that headset manufacturer right now, but I'd like to try one. I mean, that'd be awesome.
I wonder if you could get one of these if you already did, the 5.
I'm sure I could get one of these to review. It might be interesting to see what leaps and bounds Pimax has taken. So like I said, there are a couple of things that I am very intrigued by on this headset beyond the resolution scope. Number one is it's coming with a built-in WiGig module for wireless VR, which is something we've been asking for forever. That's why I switched from the HTC Vive to a Quest 2 as a daily driver, is because the Quest 2 can run PC VR over Wi-Fi. And I have AC Wi-Fi up in my living room via a UniFi Nano HD point, which does a fantastic job at streaming all those frames at 90 FPS straight to my headset. Between that and inside-out tracking, I put the headsets in a case and charge them. And then when I'm ready to play VR, I stream from my downstairs PC, which is connected on either 1 gig or 10 gig Ethernet, and just sling it wirelessly to whatever room of the house that I'm in. I don't have to have a dedicated VR space. I don't have to have sensors hanging on my wall. I don't have to have wires everywhere. I'm not tripping over things. It's wonderful. Which, by the way, let me know in the comments of this, not in the chat, but in the comments after this video goes live, if you guys want to see me test VR in a vGPU instance on Proxmox. Because that's an idea that I had this week. Like, why hasn't anyone done that yet? VR inside of a virtual machine, let alone splitting it up into multiple virtual machines, because I think that could be fun. Toothpick22 says, hello from Salem, Oregon. Hello, neighbor.
Yeah.
You're closer than almost everyone else watching.
He's closer than I am.
Closer than John is. John is further away from me than you are. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, WiGig, built-in WiGig functionality. So you could put a transmitter on your wall. Now, this is still WiGig and not straight-up Wi-Fi, so there is still going to be a PC component to this and some wiring and visual, but wireless to your VR headset. I think it's kind of hard to complain about them adding in that feature. Number 2 is inside-out optical tracking. That has really been the way of the industry. Obviously, Oculus did it first with the Rift S, and then later on in their Quest headsets with the Quest 1 and the Quest 2. And I've never looked back. I've never, with the exception of like 1 or 2 games that were really designed for over-the-head action, I've had very little trouble with the Quest 2 with inside-out tracking. So adding inside-out tracking that works with Valve's index controllers into your headset. So no more light boxes, no more lighthouses, just a WiGig transmitter or an HDMI or USB-C cable. And you're off and running. Those are big improvements to VR.
No, I mean, early on, even back when the bar days and the VR arcade, those are all the biggest struggles. I mean, you were even talking about investing in a backpack and everything like that to get around.
I was.
Though the wireless was just being rumored and talked about back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we were always constantly talking, man, we just can't wait till, it's wireless and we can just move around. It's going to be so much fun. And I remember even when the inside out tracking was even talked about, it was like, you can't reach too high. It's come leaps and bounds. All of this technology, and it's just going faster and faster. And VR is getting really affordable. I think the what was the one you bought? The Google or the Facebook one?
The Quest 2.
Quest 2. Yeah. Quest 2. I think Quest 2 was this big revolutionary VR headset that made it affordable for the consumer. It was almost like maybe the NES because it was a family consumer VR head. No, more like the Switch or the Wii. It was more like the Wii because it brought more people in.
It did. No, I don't think you're wrong with that comparison. I mean, think of what VR was when I was running the VR arcade. VR was an HTC Vive, which was $900 when you got everything all together, $799 plus, whatever extensions and cables and whatnot you needed. I mean, it was just for the headset and controllers and long enough cabling to reach your PC. You could easily hit $900 to $1,000, and that's just the headset.
That's not the PC graphics card monitor.
Let alone, it was recommended you have a GTX 1070 or higher. 1080 was obviously the preference there, or even 1080 Ti or Titan if you had it, because Pascal was the graphics card of the day. So you needed a $600 to $800 graphics card for the premium experiences that VR had to offer. So you're already into it $1,800, and we haven't even talked about the rest of your PC yet, or the space needed to play it, or mounting your tracking sensors, or cable management on your ceiling, or everything else. I mean, VR was, for all intents and purposes, a $2,500 to $3,000 single player, single setup. Today, you can go to Best Buy and buy an Oculus Quest for $299, and that is literally all you need for that same level of VR.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And you can download the games on your phone and, from your phone and upload it to it, and boom, you're off and running. Yeah. The reason I guess I kind of think it's more like the Wii is because even my parents now have it, but they use it more for exercise.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that's what people used to do with the Wii, with the bowling. It got them up and moving.
You got the bowling, you got the Wii Fit.
Yeah. And then that also got my oldest brother, who doesn't even like video games. He's like, oh, this is fun because I'll sync them up with my kids.
Yeah.
And we'll go do competition stuff with my kids of like archery thing or something like that. And we can just literally sit on the couch, and I don't have to have a big graphics card. It was to buy 2 of them, $400.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, that's a great family gift and a budget for a family gift.
Yeah.
Especially a large family of 6. So it's like, yeah, that's great. So I think with stuff like this, although we don't know the price of this, and this is obviously a premium product.
Yes.
That's what they're aiming for. This isn't going to be the everyday driver, but those other VR headsets introduce people into it, and there are enthusiasts like yourself that this is kind of starting to bridge the gap a bit more. let's just hope it's not in that $700-800 price range.
Well, I think the Pimax 12K is likely going to be in that $1,000 to $1,500 range. This is not an entry-level headset. This is going to be an enthusiast-level VR headset. Yeah. Something like the HTC Vive Pro, something like the Valve Index. It's going to be in that echelon of enthusiast products. But it's these types of products that push the industry forward that allows us to have more entry-level products later on. I've said that time and time again about a number of different technologies. Is trickle-down works in consumer electronics and enterprise electronics, but not in actual consumerism. Anyway, speaking of entry-level VR, we do have a little bit of a leak from Oculus themselves in the form of a new Quest headset, potentially. Now, someone in the comments or in the chat said that I love the Quest 2, but it is a bit front-heavy. That was Michael. There it is. Like I said, my daily driver now when I play VR is the Quest 2. Via either native apps on there. I have Beat Saber and a whole bunch of songs on there just natively, so I can just fire it up and go. Or PC VR. So I've got Gorn and Half-Life Alyx and all the other, high-end PC VR experiences. Although I guess Gorn is available for the Quest 2 as well. But the number one complaint about it is, it's only $299. But it's a bit front heavy, and you need to spend more money on ergonomics and upgrades and things like that to make it truly daily drivable or consumer friendly for entry level people. I don't mind strapping it to my face and playing for 2 hours, but I have the kind of endurance that I'm happy with that, and I'll live with the sore nose at the end of the day.
Well, yeah, you're also, an enthusiast, so what you're getting into.
I've also been using VR headsets since the original Oculus dev kit as a Kickstarter backer. Like, gosh.
Oh, that made me throw up.
That did. I got my VR legs all the way back then with the original Oculus dev kit. Gosh, it wasn't the CV one, it was the... whatever. You all know the square one with the 7-inch LCD on it that was only 720p and had no positional tracking. It was rotational only. Now, luckily, it could be driven with anything, so I actually did that a lot with my Alienware M14X with like a Kepler mobile card on it. It was not a great experience. There were a couple experiences that I used to show off to people, like, hey, this is VR, this is like the future of gaming right here. And then there are some that I kept just to myself, like the 3D space simulator that was like you're an X-Wing fighter flying through space, and you either have an Xbox controller or a joystick, and it's 6 degrees of freedom, and you're doing barrel rolls and flips and somersaults and dogfighting in 3D space with nothing but rotational head tracking. And so you're trying to lock onto an enemy, and one wrong quick spin of your head, and you're literally like Vomit Comet.
Oh, gosh, yeah. No, we did that, and I remember you brought it over to my house with some friends, and it was a poker night, and so I remember people were like losing on purpose to just like go play, and people would be watching at the corner of their eyes, because I think we even had them on like a chair with wheels, which made it kind of even worse.
Yeah, because all of a sudden your body can shift like this.
Your body's shifting with it, and you're just like,
yeah. But no, that was a trip. Having that set up and going from there. But like I said, on the entry level side of things, there's a new Oculus VR headset likely coming sometime next week. Now, we don't have a lot of information on this. What we do know is, well, we do know a couple things. Number one, this will either be a Quest 2 Pro or a Quest 3, although the naming is still kind of up in the air. But either way, we should be looking at a pretty decent upgrade to the existing Quest 2 as far as hardware specs go. Now, via Twitter user Basti564, We have this animation right here, which is an Oculus created animation, which shows a new design for an Oculus headset. And I don't know if you can pick up on this right away. Full body tracking. Watch the end of it where she jumps with her avatar and they do the same moves at each other. Right here. Full body tracking, inside out. And what we see is a little bit more compact headset in the front with what looks like a battery around the back, which should help with front to back weight distribution, which again is one of the biggest complaints for the Quest 2. If this ends up being a Quest Pro, or let's say something with a little bit bigger field of view, maybe instead of, what's the lens name? Instead of Fresnel lenses, we get
a better camera
ventricular. Ventricular. I'm trying to remember the nomenclature for the lens types. Anyway, there's Fresnel lenses, which is what most VR headsets use, which leads to God rays and shimmering and color chromatic aberration and that kind of thing, versus I'm drawing a blank. I'm even a camera guy and I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Anyway, just more straight up light bending lenses instead of Fresnel lenses. You end up with a better image. You end up with thinner lenses, a lighter headset, and you can actually get closer to the LCD panel. If I'm the speculative type, and again, we can talk speculation on this show, I'm guessing they're using that lens technology instead of the existing Fresnel lens technology, which would be a significant improvement to the Quest 2 and would do away with a lot of the visual complaints that people have about the headset. Again, for $300, I have very few complaints about the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah. I just, until it's confirmed, I don't want this to be a Nintendo OLED situation when it was supposed to be, or Switch OLED when it was supposed to be, oh, we're getting a brand new Switch. Here's all the cool stuff we're going to get. An upgraded screen. It's going to do 4K. All this that we speculated because there's patents out and everything already for it. They have a new controller thing.
Yeah. And then Nintendo went, well, fine. Now we're not going to.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like, oh, yeah, here's a new battery pack. And it's lighter and because that animation cartoon looks more like an advertisement. Maybe it's full body tracking. Maybe it's just something to draw people in.
Yes, but if you've seen previous, now if this was just from some promotional company, I'd say yeah, you're probably right. But seeing as these animations are direct from Oculus, they don't do animations of a different headset. They're trying to sell the product, and the product is whatever that person has on their face.
But they're also probably trying to sell the environment that they're trying to portray, where they, again, back when the old, do you remember the old
but they're not going
packs the Super Nintendo had when you're shooting, you feel all your body
hits,
and
the two games that supported it.
Yeah, exactly. And they had commercials of guys getting hit and everything and then you buy it and just a little zap and it's like, no, they'll sell you on a concept.
Yes, but
I just don't want that. I'm not saying it could be. I don't want that. I'll wait till next week to praise this.
What I'm saying is modern advertisers don't do that nearly as often as they used to. And Nintendo was right up there with the worst of them as far as the Power Glove. It's so bad.
Oh yeah,
and full motion tracking and you get it and it's like, no, I said go up, damn it. Yeah. Right, and it played like 4 games, and then there was like the NES Track and Field. There was Rob. There was the Virtual Boy. I mean, you go down Nintendo's list of advertisements.
Even modern. I remember the Wii with Zelda. You can sword fight.
Oh God, with the Skyward Sword advertisements.
Yeah. Oh. No, you get it down. That's all you're doing.
That's probably the best counterpoint you could bring up is Nintendo and Bethesda as far as modern advertisements go, because they're like Skyrim VR. It's like you're there, and to swing your sword, you literally do this in VR, and it might swing the sword, it might not. And if you want to do a heavy attack, you come from overhead, and it might swing your sword and it might not. And
I just don't want that. I really hope this is an upgrade or a whole new system. I hope it's just not, hey, we heard your complaints, and here is the Oculus 2 Pro, and it's
even if they heard all of our complaints and they fixed the weight distribution and the lens flares and God rays, and they upped the field of view ever so slightly. That alone is a pretty significant upgrade when you're talking a $300 headset.
I mean, I guess if they just called it the Oculus 2 Pro or Oculus 2 like S, something like that, they still said it's the original one. We just upgraded the model. Like how they do the PlayStation, whatever, and they thin it down.
PS2 Slim,
the Slim, whatever, or the Xbox 360 small, or the arcade version. That's fine then. But if they were going to claim this is a whole brand new model and then only did those smaller things, I would be like, I'd be disappointed.
Yeah.
If it is just a minor upgrade, again, because it's still technically a rumor, and it's probably going to be announced next week because they have that event coming up next week.
Yeah, they have Facebook Connect coming up. Yeah.
And it's assumed, again, not confirmed, but assumed that it's probably going to be announced there. After that, then I'll put my judgment then.
I think that's fair.
So, yeah.
I did get into a little bit of, I'm hoping for this. I'm hoping what I see there is what materializes. But again, we have no specs. We have no confirmations. We don't even have leaked specs to gawk over. But you know what? You know what you never have to worry about? That's Linode overpromising and under-delivering. And they just so happen to be the sponsor of today's episode. If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, why isn't my video playing? Probably because I host my own servers.
And you need to host it on Linode.
And I need to host them on Linode. Hold on. There we go. Today's episode is brought to you by Linode. If you've ever needed to host your own servers, whether it be for home or business use, but don't have the resources or time to invest into hardware, power, cooling, or even space, why not let Linode host them for you? If it runs on Linux, it'll run on Linode. That includes the software for most tutorials on my channel, like how to run your own ad-blocking recursive DNS server, VPN gateway, your own cloud-based Plex server, and more. Linode makes it simple to deploy and manage your own cloud services, with solutions ranging from a single shared CPU to massive multi-core virtual machines. They even offer dedicated RTX 6000 GPUs for graphic rendering or machine learning. With shared CPU plans starting at as little as $5 per month and scaling up to as high as you need to go, you'll be able to find a hosting plan that fits your needs. Even if you do host your own servers, you can use Linode to keep a backup off-site, because remember, RAID is not a backup. Visit linode.com/craftcomputing and get a $100 60-day credit just for signing up for a new account. That's linode.com/craftcomputing, and thank you again to Linode for sponsoring today's episode.
Thank you, Linode.
Thank you. John can drink for another day.
Yay! Speaking of drinking, how is your Ghost gluten-free pumpkin beer, Ghost Fish?
You know, honestly, it really didn't change. It started as fairly solid, would have again, nothing remarkable, but nothing really to like knock it down points either, other than it body-wise it's a little thin for I think the flavor that it has. I would like it a little bit thicker. Oh, did you finally get a pumpkin seed?
Yes. All right, I don't know if you can see it.
Oh my god.
You literally like,
you have like Cheeto fingers.
Yeah, that came out of the beer.
Oh god. Do you need a minute, John?
It is super thick now. Like,
John swapped his beer for an Orange Julius while we weren't watching.
If I want to almost get a glass now just to show you. I don't have anything to pour it into. Oh well. It's yeah. Oh well. Wow.
That looked looked wrong.
It felt like I was drinking like canned pumpkin.
Yeah.
It tastes like it too. That's where all the pumpkin's at. It's all powdery.
They didn't say shake well before serving, did they?
It does Yes, it does. Invert and swirl cans before serving.
Gotta read those directions, John.
I do. It was the last line.
Anyway,
oh my gosh,
like I said, it didn't really evolve, and it's not a bad beer by any means. It's pretty much what it advertises. It's a pumpkin flavored light ale, 5%. It's not overly hoppy. It's not overly sweet. It's like a lager with just a little bit of pumpkin, but it's a decent tasting lager. So I really have no complaints. I mean, I'm not going to give it a 4.5 on Untapped. Like I said, this is probably a 3.0. But there's nothing wrong with it either.
Complaint.
Yeah. All right.
What are you going for next?
I think I'm going to go for the Dead and Dead barrel-aged Dead Guy Ale.
Oh, good choice.
Yes.
Whiskey barrel.
John, what are you cracking open there, sir?
Since we are sticking with Halloween themed or
Another pumpkin.
No. This is a brewery themed. Yes. It is a Imperial IPA by Nightmare Brewing.
Ooh.
So kind of some pretty spooky graphic labels there. Yeah, they do some really cool artwork. But 10.1% double IPA with Cryo Mosaic and Cryo Citra.
For dinner, I usually don't have a beer at dinner on Wednesdays, but I opened a beer today. I had a 12-ounce Cryo Stash from Hop Valley, which if you've never had one of I know John has, but if you've never had one of those, they are a phenomenal Northwest Imperial IPA.
For the price, yeah.
Especially for the price. It's 8.7%. And it's cryo and mosaic hops, but it's freeze-dried hops. And,
pellet hops, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's just a fantastic, very hop forward, very Northwest IPA. And
yeah, if you're looking for that and you're on a budget, if you're basically, I consider that one the best ABV IPA bang for your buck.
I'd put it right up there. I certainly would.
Yeah. I think it's like $2.50, and they come in like the 19.5 ounce can.
Yeah. Yeah, you can
Something
find
like
it like in the Northwest, you can find it at almost any grocery store for between $2 and $3, usually about $2.50. But 8.7% Imperial IPA and flavor per dollar, ABV per dollar, it's literally among the top.
It's top 5 at least.
Right.
So.
Like Waldo gives it a run for its money when it comes out at $2 for a 12 ounce.
Yeah. Although basically this tastes like a nicer craft, not craft. I mean, no, it's technically not, but more love. You know, a little smoother, a little more malty, balanced version of that. Actually, that's what it tastes like Cryo Stash.
Dead and Dead is so good. I love this time of year because this time of year the pumpkin beers come out, but also the barrel aged beers start coming out. And so let's see. This week I picked up a 6-pack of 2021 Narwhal from Sierra Nevada. I've got the Dead and Dead. I've got Costco started carrying a 3-pack of Firestone. Including the 2021 Parabola. Like $20 for 3 boxed 12-ounce Firestone beers. Like,
oh yeah, that's basically buy 2 get 1 free.
or almost half price. I mean, it's really closer to half price because normally like $15 for a 12-ounce Parabola is a pretty good deal, and maybe $25 for a Bomber. And most of their other boxed beers are very similar to that. So $20 for a 3-pack. Yes, they're only 12 ounce, but that means you can drink them by yourself. You don't have to share. So,
yeah, that's why I like the little 12 ounce one.
Yeah,
just enough for an individual serving.
Right. Especially when you're aiming for like the dessert beers or well after dinner, nightcap by the fireplace kind of thing. 12 ounce is a good one to have. I'm happy to see more 12 ounces coming out instead of everything being in bombers. And I have to think it has something to do with the pandemic, because I haven't opened hardly any bombers in the last 18 months because I have no one to share them with.
Oh, I know. That's the problem is so as you might see, there's a big beer fridge behind me. Most of it is now big bombers. So I was like, okay, I bought this and I age it, but I purposely wait for people to come over, like friends, you, Rhett, and other friends. And past year and a half, it's been, no one's coming over. Well, these beers still get released. Right.
It's not like I'm not going to buy them.
Yeah, it's not like I'm not going to buy it. I got to buy it. I want to try it. And well, the best part too is, tap rooms and everything are trying to get places to come in, so they'll get it on draft as well. So I'm like, well, great, I bought it. I'd like 8 ounces of that, please, too. On draft. I want to just I got it myself.
Yeah.
Now, well, I guess I can wait. I'll wait longer. Yep. It doesn't go to waste.
Yep.
But I have so many beers, and I'm like, well, when's Jeff coming over?
No, right.
When's Steve coming over? Like every time Steve comes over, it's like, we wake up the next day, like, what do we do? Oh, it's horrible. But even then, it's like, okay, I know there are particular beers that Steve will like, so it's like, okay, or that you will like, right. And I kind of almost plan ahead of like, okay, these ones over here for Jeff.
Okay, so yeah, Steve gets the barley wines and the real thick barrel aged. Not the stouts, but the real thick barrel-aged everything else.
Basically.
When I come over, it's dark beers and Germans. And when Rhett comes over, it's just about anything else. You can give Rhett anything because he's like, I got, Rainier. So I was like, hey, anything tastes great. Yeah. Here, try the Sierra Nevada Pale.
I know. He's like, I drink Rainier and Gilgamesh. Right. This is all great. I still have that old-fashioned themed beer from Gilgamesh. Another one for Rhett. It was like, hey, we can all try this. It's probably gonna taste horrible.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and move on to today. Intel finally released, or at least the reviews went live for Intel Alder Lake, the new desktop CPU from Intel. 12th generation core technology. However, this one comes with a bit of a twist. Number one, we are again seeing a brand new socket in LGA 1700, which means you will need updated cooler mounts or new compatible coolers to cool these chips. You can't transfer your old ones over unless your cooler manufacturer makes you a new bracket. So keep that in mind. Number two, we are coming with a brand new architecture. It's still core architecture, but they have made some significant changes. First and foremost, DDR5 is now on the desktop. Now, Alder Lake chips have both DDR4 and DDR5 memory controllers. However, there will be no boards that support both. Intel has stated the board manufacturers are to include DDR4 or DDR5 support. They cannot mix and match slots like they did at the beginning of the DDR4 introduction, specifically with some server motherboards as well as, I want to say it was some Skylake CPUs. Had like 2 DDR3 and 2 DDR4 slots, so you could carry over your old memory. None of that. Every board you see will either be DDR4 or DDR5. Secondly, PCI Express 5.0. There are 16 PCI Express Gen 5 lanes on every single chip, as well as, was it 8 lanes of PCIe 4.0 and an additional 8 lanes of what Intel is calling, hold on, what was the nomenclature for that? I don't remember. Anyway, there's essentially 8 more lanes of bus traffic between the chipset and integrated peripherals that is not shared on the PCI bus. So things like your SATA controller or additional NVMe slots or your Ethernet controller, they can all go on that bus controller that has a maximum of about 16 gigabit per second bandwidth. So a pretty nice little addition to expand the availability of I/O on these chips. Now, again, you're still limited to the 16 PCI Express 5.0 and the 8 PCI Express 4.0. We are getting a little bit, kind of a reduction in core counts. We are going from a 10 core maximum back down to an 8 core maximum. So gone are the oddball 10 cores of the 11900K and 11850 and so on. We essentially have 3 SKUs available in 2 variants. We have the i9 12900K, also available in the KF SKU, which is overclockable without onboard graphics. We also have the 12700K and 12700KF, and the 12600K and 12600KF. The difference being the core counts on these. Now, you might notice a little bit of an odd core count here. This is because of we've compared this a couple of times to ARM's Big Little architecture, where they have some performance cores as well as some high efficiency cores. Also, the Apple M1 chip, as well as the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, also have this with higher performance cores as well as higher efficiency cores. We're seeing that same thing on the Intel desktop side of things now, with the 12900K having 8 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores with a total of 24 threads. Now, it should be noted that only the performance cores are getting hyper-threading. So you have 8 cores and 16 threads of performance cores and 8 cores, 8 threads of efficiency cores. Base clock of 2.4, max clock of 3.9 for the efficiency. On the performance cores, we have a base of 3200 and 5200 for a turbo. This has a base wattage of 125 watts and a turbo wattage of 241. Now, that's a change I'm kind of excited about, because what is the TDP of a given Intel chip? It's been kind of a, you test it and we'll figure it out. Because Intel's 95 watt SKUs would regularly draw about 200 watts. WTF, you might ask.
Yep.
Well, their TDP rating was the thermal load at the max non-turbo frequency. However, Intel CPUs like to turbo. They like to be able to draw power. Well, with more power comes more current. And with more current comes higher wattage. So a 95 watt TDP chip would run at its base clock of 3.8 gigahertz at 95 watts, no problem. But when it turbos to 5.2 on 2 cores and then 4.8 on the rest of them, guess what? It's drawing 195. So plan your cooling accordingly. Now they are giving us 2 different TDPs. The base wattage is the wattage at which it will run if the efficiency cores and the performance cores are all running at max non-turbo. The turbo wattage is what it will run when it was running at the turbo frequency, so 5.2 gigahertz and 3.9 gigahertz respectively between the 2 cores. The i9 will have a starting price of $589, and that is a per 1000 SKU, so expect to see it closer to the $650 range if I were to guess. Starting all the way down at the i5 12600KF, which is a 6-core performance 12-thread with 4 efficiency cores for a total of 16 threads, 125 watt base, and a 150 watt turbo base will start at $265.
So basically, it just sounds like it's more of they worked on their power consumption issues on these. That seems to be the big thing of like power to efficiency is what I really get.
Yes, but also no. Because we're still seeing higher wattage draw than we did on the previous generation. But what Intel is saying is that the efficiency cores, they have crammed them into a smaller space, and so you can fit 4 efficiency cores into the same physical space as 1 core from a Skylake die. And so The efficiency cores are really where the power savings are from, but overall the TDP on the chip has gone up significantly because they used to rate an 11900K. I think it was at 105 watts. And we all know
110.
all know those chips did not draw 105 watts, even at stock speeds with an Intel box cooler on them. I mean, you could easily get 150 out of just about any chip, let alone the 200 that a lot of them drew, even at stock settings. Now they're giving us a base wattage of 125 watts, which sounds more appropriate, but we've also got essentially almost double the core count. It's just 8 of them are lower power and 8 of them are higher power.
Well, that's what I was trying to get at. It does seem like, yes, you're getting more wattage, but it's not that huge of a jump. So it just seems to be it's a little bit more of an efficient.
Yeah.
It's like if you were to get an engine, you got an E engine. These are E Intels.
Right.
You know, they're eco-friendly or whatever, to where you're going to get that extra 15 miles per gallon and an extra 20 horsepower type of a thing.
Right.
So price-wise, they're all within about what would be expected of all Intel prices.
Price-wise, so, I'm not all that surprised. And actually, from some of the early benchmarks that I've seen today, now, this is a paper launch, as everything else in 2020 and 2021 has been a paper launch. These are going to be hard to find for a number of months. Sorry, the chip shortage is not going away simply because Intel announced something new. It's going to be hard to find these. I've seen a couple of them in the wild, and reviewers that I've talked to, they're trying to get the reviews out, but at the same time, they're not like trying to get them out today, because if they don't get them out today, no one's going to watch. No one's going to watch them anyway. Is the problem, is because you all are so disenthused by new technology because either A, it's too expensive, or B, we can't buy it anyway, that they're okay missing the 0 day. And honestly, it's not going to really hurt their channels or their websites. So why put in the 30 hours of benchmarking in 35 hours of time when you could just release a day or two late? Like, I know probably a dozen different reviewers who are doing that, who said like, yeah, we missed the day because we didn't get our shipment on time, and then we had the weekend come up, and then it's like, I'm not going to bust my ass on Monday and Tuesday to publish a video at 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. I'm just going to publish it Thursday afternoon. Anyway, some of the early benchmarks and reviews that I've seen are fairly positive, and Intel has taken a step forward. It was kind of expected that they would kind of jump back into the realm of competitiveness, because they've been, let's just say, lackluster since 8th generation. Especially when the 9th generation came along and they're like, we don't have anything new. Hey, look, we put 8 cores into a space that we said we can only fit 4 cores a year and a half ago. Haha. But no, Ryzen didn't force our hand. This was our decision, damn it. Yeah. Anyway, they are returning to competitiveness. And in some gaming benchmarks, I'm seeing 10 to 12% leads over Ryzen 5600Xs and 5950Xs.
No, the small ones.
I'm also seeing they're still losing in performance per watt, but at least they're winning at performance per dollar in some metrics. Honestly, that i5 with only 6 cores, but a total of 16 threads at $265, that's a pretty tempting price point. Right now, the only thing you can get right there is the 3600. You can't even get a 5600 for that price. And so if you can actually get an i5 12600K or KF for under $299, that's a pretty compelling gaming build right there. If you can jump up to an i7 or an i9, that's a great workstation workhorse. You know, you've got 16 PCI Express 5.0 lanes. Not that anything will use 5.0 at this point, but supports DDR5 memory if you have tasks that are highly memory intensive. Maybe you don't need DDR4 3200. Maybe you can jump straight to DDR5 4200 and essentially get quad channel speeds out of a dual channel set. So there's definitely use cases to be had with this current offering from Intel. And it's nice to see that Intel isn't just laying on the mat. Now, I don't think this is going to be the be-all, end-all architecture for Intel. I know they are still working on moving on from their core architecture. As I've said many times, they're essentially running on a refined architecture from the Nehalem days back in 2008. And there's a reason they're simply calling this 12th generation core, is because at its core, this is the same exact process that has been used since Nehalem with minor tweaks and additions. But the instruction sets are all the same. The memory controllers have been updated twice, first to DDR4 and later to DDR5. But they're on the same core principles. They're built on the same architecture. Intel's got to be cooking up something new. But like I said, it's going to take 3 to 4 years to do that. We're in year 2. I don't expect to see anything new even announced until at least CES 2023 from Intel, as far as a new architecture to eliminate or move on from core. But this is exciting. It's exciting to see Intel not just resting on their laurels and honestly doing what AMD did for 5 years while they were kicking Ryzen up, which is nothing. I mean, AMD was pretty much left for dead as far as the CPU space goes. There were rumors abound that Apple was looking to acquire them for some time.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. The 5 years between Bulldozer and Ryzen were not good years to AMD, and they never did get off the mat until 2017 when they introduced Ryzen. And even then, it was like, well, at least they're making noise and they're competitive in the multi-threaded space, but they don't have a CPU to bring it to Intel's top dog as far as the single-threaded performance space. But, 4 years later, all of a sudden they're kicking Intel's butt and taking their lunch money.
Oh, yeah. In every category at all.
Right.
Price, performance, even single thread. Well, I guess technically single thread, if you overclock it with a super ice chilled system, then Intel works.
If you have two circuits in your hotel room and an enterprise chiller, you too can get 5 gigahertz on a 28 core 8080.
Yeah. I mean, so technically that'll work. All right, hang on. I want to try this. I got a clear glass.
Oh boy. Track
I
one
got
down.
the rest of this. So
I want to see this.
So that is thick. and just to prove I have a spoon.
Oh God.
And so that is just coating the spoon. That's like baby food.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I was gonna say it's Gerber.
Look at that, just thick.
Gerber brand pumpkin paste. Just what a growing toddler needs.
Oh, yummy.
I didn't realize you opened a can of pie filling, John.
That's basically what it is. I mean, that might have helped. That's all the pumpkin.
Yeah.
And that probably would have helped that apple flavor I was getting.
Yeah.
So, wanted to share that with everyone. Maybe I'll drink that in the after show.
What it makes me think, John, is that Nightmare Brewing, that wasn't Nightmare. That was the other company.
That was some other one.
Yeah, it makes me think they had a recipe for a jammy sour that had they had an apple or a fruit jammy sour.
I have a peach cobbler of this.
Yeah, so it makes me think they had already made a jammy sour, and instead of adding peach, they added pumpkin. Because that's just pumpkin puree that you had at the bottom. And the notes that you were giving were very pleasant. It was apple and cinnamon and nutmeg and a little oatmeal and butter and whatnot. It's like, that sounds delicious. But where's the pumpkin? Oh, it was in the bottom third of the can.
Bottom. Yep.
It makes sense now.
Yes. But if you want to see me drink the rest of that, you need to join the Discord and join the after show. That is a super secret after show at the end of this. To do that, you need to go to the link in the description below in the link in the description below.
You okay, John?
And there, too much pumpkin pie filling.
Mhm.
It's clogging my mouth. Minimum donation of at least $1. Always more is appreciated, but it literally does turn and keep the lights on at Jeff's place. For that, you get access to the super secret Discord where you get to talk to everyone. It's probably one of the best Discords you'll ever be at. And again, like I said, the super secret show where you get to see Jeff, I, and a lot of the other fellow Patreons and Discord members on there. And we chat for 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes a little more, about basically everything. What's in the background of everyone's house? What are we drinking? What's going on? What's going on at your work? It's super fun. So if you want to be a part of that, you need to join.
Yes. Also, head on over to craftcomputing.store. Get yourself a pint glass, t-shirt, hoodie, whatever you may desire. We've got it over there. I'm looking at expanding products here pretty soon as well. I've got a...
you need to get that t-shirt going of the Raid's Not a Backup.
Yeah, I'm looking at that one. I've actually talked to an artist. I'm trying to do up a couple designs right, where like I've got some ideas for t-shirts and actually some other merchandise as well. But one of the first steps for that is getting an artist to do it up for me, because I am not a graphic artist, let alone a regular artist. Like I can make a clip art silhouette sometimes. I've talked about how the channel art that I made for my channel was literally made the day after I filmed the first video. And I went, okay, I think I can upload this. And I know I'm going to be called Craft Computing. So I need something that says beer and PCs and craft and whatnot. Yeah, we'll do gray background and black font that kind of looks like a Star Trek font. Okay, that works. And I guess like a green neon outline because I'm colorblind and can't do anything else. Tell you what, I'll take the silhouette of a pint glass and a silhouette of a monitor and I'll kind of put them together. Yeah, I like that. Cool.
That looks good.
Run.
A little matrix green in the background.
Matrix green. Matrix green and 50-50 gray. Those are my colors.
Yeah. There we go. I know a graphic designer for Intel, actually. I could give you, she does, as of right now, free consultation. So maybe I'll shoot her your number, or you her number, and then that way you can contact her if you want.
Yeah.
She even did a free one for me of a rabbit. This was a long time ago, but it was a rabbit made out of hops.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's like, yeah, if you want it, here, I just wanted to do a portfolio, and it looked really great.
Nice.
She even did a few test runs for Ratchet Brewery.
Oh, nice.
For some of their canned stuff that's coming out really soon. So,
yeah.
But yeah, she works for the graphic artist department at Intel.
Nice.
So.
We do have a couple super chats to get to. First off, Harley sends over $5. Thank you so much. I don't think I'll be updating to 12th gen for some time. I'm still running a 3770. It's kind of hard to beat a 3770, honestly, as like it's kind of like the Nissan Hardbody or Toyota Tacoma of CPUs. Like, you've got all of the modern conveniences that you could ever ask for that are good enough. Is it the latest Allison transmission? No, it's not. It's a solid 5-speed. Is it, lifted? Does it have 12,000 pound towing capacity? No, but it's got a 4-cylinder that'll frickin' run forever. Like it's a great CPU. And there's nothing enticing to draw you into something newer without also upgrading everything else about your system, because you're on DDR3, which is dirt cheap. You're on PCI Express 3.0, which supports all modern graphics cards. You have Gigabit Ethernet. You have USB 3.0. Oh, I don't have USB-C. Guess what? You can buy a 1X card that'll add USB-C to your PC. What else do you need? Like, honestly, if 4 cores and 8 threads are enough for you, cool. Great system. Anyway, $5. American Cosworth. Drink one for my puppers. She decided to be a Frankenweenie this year, and she's having emergency surgery having eaten a plastic pumpkin. Oh no!
Oh, sorry, not good.
Oh, my thoughts go out to your Frankenweenie pupper. May she do better. May she live a long pupper life, because
Yeah.
puppers deserve that. And from the net guy, $20. Thank you so much. Diapers ain't cheap, Jeff, nor are craft brews. Looking forward to John's rehoming video Friday. What's your thoughts on GPU prices in 2022 and 2023? First off, go check out the net guy. He's got a great little YouTube channel cooking over in his neck of the woods. And a pretty solid dude in his own right, with a beard that kicks my butt. Anyway, thoughts on GPU prices. I don't see a lot of relief in sight, and it honestly hurts me to say that, because we're all enthusiasts here. I'm an enthusiast. You're an enthusiast. Not everyone I talk to, but everyone I interact with, like in my Discord and on Twitter, and anyone who follows me is probably also an enthusiast, either for craft beer or for GPUs, or oftentimes both. It hurts saying that most companies are saying buckle up until 2023. Like, it's not going to end anytime soon. The chip shortage, the shipping shortages, the labor shortages at shipping and receiving places, there's a comeuppance coming for a lot of industries, and all those have to happen before things are readily available again. So yeah. I don't have high hopes that in 2022 things are just going to magically get better, unfortunately. Someone said I missed a super chat. Oh, I did. I saw that one come by and I completely forgot. Mike D sends over $12.37 Canadian. 12.37 Canadian bucks to match 10 freedom dollars. He did the math on the conversion. Thank you so much, Mike. Congrats on the new place, John. What's the easiest way to get Oregonian beers delivered to Montreal?
Ooh, that one's hard, because over the border, and especially right now, stuff is being inspected. Although I did learn a nifty trick that if you are in the Discord, I don't want to say it over thing, ask me on the Discord. I did learn a nifty trick from a fellow friend of ours to help with such things.
What I will say is, if you are shipping items which are normally considered contraband, not going to go into details there. If you are shipping items, let's say you send me a package of soda. If you take a 6-pack of soda to the UPS store and say, hey, I would like to ship this soda to Oregon, they'll say, well, what's inside the soda? Can I weigh the soda? What kind of box do you need for the soda? Oh, wait, we can't ship this soda because it doesn't meet our requirements. It's not allowed to be on our trucks and our planes, etc. If you simply show up with a box that is already packed, taped closed, pre-labeled, pre-weighed, that you can just go, here, and then walk out the door, they don't second guess anything.
Nope.
That's all I'm saying. So you can ship...
soda became water.
So you can ship your soda. Now, if you're talking about over country lines, I have to disclose that shipping alcohol across country lines is technically against the law. It's not a good idea. Don't attempt it. I'm not saying I haven't received any or sent any, but I'm just saying that pretty much every major carrier has it on their not allowed list, right?
Yeah.
So,
but some of them technically do, but it's so expensive because it has to go by ground.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah. And it's so expensive, it's ridiculous to do it. And so some carriers can legally do it, but it's only a certain ABV.
Yep.
Mostly liquors or even decent wines, no good. Can't go that way.
Yeah.
And for something that low, and you're shipping, say, a bottle, and it's like $100, you're like, this isn't worth it. Yeah. So that soda you might be sending,
Yeast sample in suspension is my favorite.
Yep, that's the one I've done.
Yeah. pre-package everything, pre-weigh everything, already have your labels printed and affixed to the boxes that you will be shipping out. Get a whale pod.
Whatever. Yeah. Try to limit as much sloshing.
Yeah.
As possible.
Yeah. But go get yourself a whale pod, whalepod.com. I don't know why I don't have an affiliate link yet, but get yourself a whale pod. I think it's whalepod.com. Nope, it's not. Whalepod.com is available.
Really?
Hold on.
For how much?
Whalepodshipper.com. Whalepodshipper.com. They make boxes specifically designed for shipping 16-ounce cans, 19-ounce bottles of wine, etc. That's where you go. Is whalepodshipper.com.
And knowing is half the battle.
And knowledge is power.
Oh, you were talking about.
Can you tell we were
Apple.
born in the 80s?
I know, right? You were talking about Apple might buy Intel.
Joe.
And Apple has been making some pretty decent strides lately with graphics cards and
yes,
processors.
they have.
And wow, they're. I mean, when it first came out, we were first talking about it, we're like, oh, Apple usually does when they do their own stuff. It's usually really good quality, but still, there's that. Okay, it's first gen, second gen. Let's see. Is it going to be even competitive? Right now, with Apple's new M1, things are looking very competitive.
Yes. So we all know how good the M1 CPU is. So for those who don't know, I did buy an M1 MacBook Pro, the 13-inch that was announced last year. I bought it like 2 weeks after release. Legitimately the best laptop I have ever owned. Battery life is astoundingly good. Performance is just as good. I mean, it wasn't going to beat a desktop replacement PC with like desktop components and an RTX 3080 desktop card in it. Like, some of the 3-inch thick Alienwares or Gigabyte laptops that you see. But at 35 watts power draw, it gave just about everything else in its class a run for its money. That is sub $1,500. Discrete graphics or not. So it's kind of hard to say that Apple was not competitive. Now, graphics-wise, I will say they got dinged a little bit in the eyes of some people because they're like, well, my RTX 1650 is faster than that. Yeah, but the Apple graphics with the 8 graphics cores on the M1 was competitive with like a 1050 Ti. Not exactly shabby territory for a laptop, especially given, again, that 35 watt total power draw.
Yeah.
Now, Apple has upgraded their M1 to include the M1 Max and the M1 Pro. And a lot of the attention went to the CPU performance, getting 8 performance cores with 2 efficiency cores, faster in all regards over the M1 MacBook Pro 13-inch. But what was kind of glossed over was the graphics performance increase, which also not only doubled, but also quadrupled. So the M1 had either 7 or 8 graphics cores, depending on which variant of the M1 that you bought. There were a couple different variants out there in the MacBook Air as well as the Mac Mini. But you had either 7 or 8 graphics cores or compute units or graphic compute units or whatever the bloody heck you want to call them. The new M1 Max or M1 Pro has 16 graphics cores of the same technology. The new M1 Max has 32 graphics cores of the same technology. So if we're already talking that the 8 graphic compute units in the M1 were matching a 1050 Ti, we're talking a 4 times increase on the raw compute performance of that graphics card. Now, if you're a little in the dark about what that might mean, that means that the M1 Max in benchmarks today is not theoretically, in tested benchmarks.
Oh, okay. I thought this was
this is not this is because it released on Monday, and so benchmarks have already hit the street. Okay. Benchmarks that have hit the street put the M1 Max at matching AMD RX 6800 mobile and RTX 3080 mobile in GFX 5 bench. That is impressive.
That's impressive. That is very, very impressive. That's your gamer's laptop right there in a, what is it, how many millimeters thick?
Right.
Ultra battery life.
Correct. Now there is a slight caveat to this, in that the manufacturer laptop tested is the 3080 mobile 100 watt variant. There are 160 watt mobile variants as well. We're not talking about those. What we are talking about is like the Max Q design, the silent and slim Ultrabook, but still freaking powerful RTX 3080, which is still nothing to shake a stick at. But matching the RX 6800M as well as the RTX 3080 mobile, that's an achievement. I mean, those are not slouches as far as graphics cards go, desktop or mobile. It really doesn't matter. Anyway, John, I interrupted you.
No, I was just saying that they're basically, how throughout all of time, Apple has been considered, it's a really good computer. These are always good computers. They're not gaming computers.
Right.
This is, you're going to get a really good computer, and it's a gaming computer.
Right. And
it's ultra thin, and it's got great battery power. They're trying to get the whole market finally.
Yeah.
They're going after it, and they're going after it very, very hard.
Yes.
And it's looking really, really good. It's essentially, if you could start playing games on your MacBook Pros or your M1 Max or whatever, on the Pros, people are going to buy those things up so fast. And as far as I know, I don't think Apple's even having a shortage of stuff. Don't they produce some of their stuff here locally?
No, they're mostly are they Samsung or TSMC right now? I don't. I know Nvidia is on Samsung's 5 nanometer.
Samsung? No, was it Toshiba or Samsung saying they were going to open a plant here?
Gosh, now you got me second guessing. I
think it was Toshiba.
System on chip. M1 made by TSMC. Yeah, TSMC. Okay. Yeah.
All right. For some reason, I thought it was local.
Yeah. No.
Or I thought it was a company that was going to be building a plant locally here within the next year or two.
I think that was Samsung that was rumored to be doing a 5 nanometer plant.
Yeah. Samsung. That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, Apple M1s are manufactured by TSMC. Now here's the deal. Manufacturing space right now is just a bidding war. And I don't know if you know this, but Apple has more cash than anyone. Apple has more cash than most countries do. So money talks, and they can bid whatever they want. I'm sorry, but Intel ain't going to win that bid. Nvidia ain't going to win that bid. AMD ain't going to win that bid. It's TSMC. Or it's Apple who's going to win that bid with TSMC. And yes, I've seen the Quinn Twitter post with the notch and the hidden UI and whatnot. Who would have predicted that, honestly, that a hardware change wouldn't have been graphically feasible with existing products? I personally never saw that coming. Yeah. The notch was a bad idea. The notch was poor design, although it was designed in favor of this is now our brand language instead of here's the actual best design for what pros want. In an announcement that was 100% about what professional users want. We want ports back. We want our function keys back. We want higher resolution screens. We want better battery life.
Like
we want better performance. I don't need your damn emoji bar. I can't live on 2 lightning ports with a shared bus alone. I need a headphone and a microphone jack. I need a damn SD card reader. Like, what do pros actually need? They listened to everything. And then they said, oh, we're going to add this little cutesy notch in there because we can. Because otherwise, just the design aesthetic with the webcam and the light sensor would just be totally make your bezel that much thicker on the top. I don't give a crap, and it requires no software intervention whatsoever. But instead, now we have a non-uniform resolution that we have to deal with. And you have to design around that area as a programmer. And the way you handle it in the OS versus in applications is different from one another. And if you haven't seen Quinn from Snazzy Labs' Twitter post where he's freaking out about how this is possibly a consumer product, I agree with him. How is that possibly a consumer-ready product? Number one, the notch is there simply so Apple doesn't have to sell LCD panels, and they can source their own LCD panels and no one else can get them, so they don't have to worry about people replacing their own screens in 3 years when they break them. It's a hit to right to repair, not a design feature. It's not something pros were asking for. I've never heard a pro say, I wish this was 1 millimeter thinner. Yeah. You know what I've heard? I wish this had 4 extra hours of battery life. You know what I wish? I had
2 extra to 4 extra ports.
Right. I wish I had 2 full-size HDMI and a card reader. You know what I haven't heard? I wish the webcam would interject on my screen ever so slightly. Like in an announcement video where they got everything right. That's the one thing they screwed up. And they screwed it up intentionally to screw over the customer. So, yes, I love the new MacBook Pros. I love the M1 Pro. I love the M1X. I haven't even tried them yet. And I already kind of want one. If they made a Mac Mini, I would have already bought one. Because I am more than satisfied with the performance on my M1 MacBook Pro. I have an M1 Mac Mini, and I'm always wanting more.
Yep. So no, these are cool. I like these. This might even get me to sit there and say, Macs aren't bad. And I don't like Macs. But the hardware aspect, like you can't deny the awesomeness of that. That's like I said earlier. It was always they're really good for photo or video editing, but they suck at gaming. Now this is bringing every bit of every world
right now getting your pocket. Now getting back to the gaming conversation, I think there's actually some meat on the bone right there, because everything that Valve has done with Wine and Proton and all the compatibility functions that they have. I'm just going to call it emulation because some of it is. All the different compatibility functions that they have for Windows gaming on Linux, a lot of that will apply directly to Mac OS. Mm-hmm. Now, we have different architectures to worry about as far as ARM versus AMD 64. However, we've also proven that AMD 64 emulation inside of Mac OS is actually faster than native ARM emulation inside of Windows for native code execution. So, man, if Steam would attack that as another final frontier and introduce Proton and Steam Play in Mac OS,
that's the only
those are bona fide gaming laptops.
So here's the thing. I think this is going to prove to those companies, these computers can do this. These computers are worth it. We're going to continue this way. You guys need, if you want bigger revenue, adapt to us now. We've adapted to you. All of our hardware now is going to work beautifully with all of these games. We're going to need some of the top-notch stuff, and everyone has this, and more people are going to have this portably. And if they want to play games, you have to adapt for them. They don't want to spend the money for a PC and a Mac Pro.
Right.
So there's that. We do have some beer news if we want to get it. I see it's 9:40, so figured we can continue on. This is something that I think both you and I would enjoy. And it's from Goose Island, another very great brewery that we enjoy. Goose Island is now going to be getting into the canned bourbon cocktails. Now, I've tried these. I think you've tried these. Steve has tried some of the Jack Daniels Cokes and everything like that.
Whoa. I did not willfully buy one of those. Well, I have tried. I said you tried.
I didn't say you bought it. I said you tried it.
Right.
So for that, I think a couple of those big issues are all of those pre-made cocktails. They're always coming in like 5%.
Right.
And you always taste it and you're like, this isn't a cocktail. This is malt liquor.
This is malt liquor with Angostura bitters, like
something like that.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky. So some of the cool things that I really liked about this, one are the 3 initial launch flavors or cocktails, and I'm going to say cocktails because they are actually using actual bourbon in these beverages. This is not some kind of hard seltzer malt liquor. It's a cocktail base, and it's going to be what is it? Where are the 3? A whiskey sour, old fashioned highball, and a blackberry smash.
Those are not bad cocktails to start with.
No,
can I just say?
Yeah, exactly. And the best part, each one is coming in at 9%. In a 12-ounce can, and it comes in a 4-pack, and it's $16. So that means each cocktail is $4 a piece. So that's cheaper. It's not bad.
It's not bad. Now,
if you're going to dilute an old fashioned to 12 ounces, yeah, it's probably going to be 9%.
Yeah, no, you're not far off. And honestly, if your flavor profile holds out, because one of the biggest issues with cocktails is ABV. It's the number one reason that canned cocktails fail.
Yeah.
Is because let's take an old fashioned, for example. What's in an old fashioned? It is 80 proof whiskey or higher, usually 80 proof. You have an 80 proof whiskey, 2.5 ounces. You add 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. Okay, so we just diluted our whiskey down. We're probably in the 60 proof range now, as far as total volume goes. Couple of dashes of Angostura bitters. That really doesn't hurt or help us because it's still 60 proof in its own right. It's 27% or something like that. And so that's a wash. You then mix it over ice and get maybe a 5% dilution while you're mixing. Okay, we're at 58 proof for a final drink.
We got 25.
There ain't no 25% canned cocktail.
No, that's illegal.
They're 8% at best. And I'm sorry, a lot of the flavor is inside of that bourbon and inside of that whiskey and inside of
you want that viscosity of the bourbon, the whiskey, the simple syrup mix because it's syrup, so it's thick.
It's got legs.
Right. You want to see that legging, you have that little orange twist that you want to smell that essence. Yep. Usually with these, they're probably carbonated, or most of them they're carbonated.
Yeah.
So that essence is this bubbly, and you're like, I don't want 7-Up, because you go to those bars and they top it with Coke or 7-Up, and you're like, what did you give me?
Right.
You know?
Do you remember? So John and I did a beer vlog years ago. So we went to a rare beer release. It was a cellared beer release, and we each spent like $250 or $300 on beer.
Like episode 7.
Yeah. This was was it a 7 or 8 a.m.? I think it was 7 a.m. opening.
It was early.
It was early. Like, we left my house at 6. So we drove to this beer release. We bought a bunch of beer. It's now 9 a.m. What do we do? And so we went to a bar. We found a bar that was open, and John's like, yeah, I'll have a beer. And I said, you know what? I kind of feel like an old fashioned. I'll take an old fashioned at 9 a.m. And she's like, and it's like, I know what I am, sweetheart. It's okay. So she made me an old fashioned, which was an entire rocks glass full of crushed ice, It was maybe 2 ounces of house whiskey. Maybe 2 ounces. Probably an ounce and a half. It was a dash of bitters. It was an orange wedge and a maraschino cherry. Not an orange twist, an orange wedge. So like a wedge of orange.
For like a blue moon type thing.
Right. Like, yeah. So it was an orange wedge and a neon red maraschino cherry. And then instead of simple syrup, no, topped with 7-Up out of the soda can.
It's like 7-Up or something, or was it Coke or something?
No,
like
it was
that?
7-Up. It
7-Up, okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we were like, I looked at it, I was like, I know that's not how it's supposed to be.
And then they slid it across the bar, and I'm like,
it's 9 a.m. They charged you a lot for it too.
$9. It's like, I don't want to fight. That's horrible.
That was also the same day you tried. Was it KBS?
Oh yeah, KBS on draft that happened to be in a habanero.
So I had a bottle of KBS like a day or two prior to that, and I talked it up to Jeff so high. I was like,
so this is Founders Brewing Kentucky Breakfast Stout.
Yeah. And this was when it like first got released to Oregon.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is great stuff, Jeff. You got to have this. And they had it there. They had it there on draft.
They had it on draft, right.
And I was like, Jeff, your drinks are, I'll buy you that. Yeah. All right.
John was driving, that. So I was cool.
Yeah. So I was like, give him that. And he sips it. And he's like, it's not that good. I'm like, give me that.
Yeah. And I went, it's kind of got like a heat to it.
Yeah.
And John goes, no, there's no way. And he grabs the glass from my hand and takes a swig. And so Kentucky Breakfast Stout is supposed to be a breakfast stout. It's supposed to be oatmeal, sausage and oatmeal and bacon and maple. And a
little bit of coffee. Yeah.
Right. It's supposed to be like, think of like a country breakfast, you know, but in stout form. And I'm tasting this and I'm going, there's like a heat behind this, like a pepper heat. What we figured out was that they previously had a habanero cider on that tap. And that habanero cider was adding just habanero pepper
and they didn't clean the line prior to having that on there.
Yep.
And it was just like, you ruined that whole keg. Mm-hmm. Basically, everything that's coming out of there is horrible now.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But no, I'm excited about these Goose Island. I will, if they come here, I hope they will.
I hope they will.
So they're saying this is their first time limited release. Supposed to be released, I think it's at early 2022.
Yeah.
So
January, February. Yeah.
Yeah, January, February. So keep an eye out for that. If you're looking for that, if anyone on the Discord does see that, let me know. I would probably even wouldn't mind having that.
Get yourself a whale pod and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and ship me some sodas.
Ship me some soda or some yeast samples in suspension.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But, kind of actually back to our VR conversation.
It's a VR heavy episode, and that's okay with me.
It is a VR. There's nothing wrong with that. And we were talking about Nintendo. We're going back to the Nintendo and the VR. One of my favorite classic games growing up was always a Zelda title. And
it hurts me that it's a classic game now.
I know, isn't that
it's retro. It's not even classic, it's retro, John. It
is. Probably one of the most successful N64 titles of all time is The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And someone has now made it fully playable in VR.
Yes. So you can download this. It is fully playable in VR. That means you can fight Ganon in his tower in your Oculus Rift or Valve Index or Quest or whatever have you. The map has been fully transferred. This is not a reproduction or an inspired by. This is literally, you need the ROM of Zelda 64 to play the game, and it emulates the game inside just with a VR camera perspective. I will say I am super excited to try this. One of the coolest things that I've done with VR is probably play GameCube and Wii games in VR with the Dolphin VR fork. I don't know if you're aware of this, John, but Dolphin VR or Dolphin Emulator has a fork called Dolphin VR.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like, play Wind Waker in a third-person camera, but in VR, where you can, like, look around as the camera. It is so great.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
it is incredible.
Yeah, this is in Dolphin. You play this in Dolphin VR. It is at native 30 frame, but you can upscale it to 90 frames.
Yep.
So another really cool thing. So if you are sensitive to that type of stuff, and you have the equipment.
I get it now. So someone took the Zelda Master Collection Ocarina of Time game because the game had to be kind of ported for VR. Like, most of the games kind of worked, but you had to do some tweaks to make them actually, like, not make you sick. Someone has taken the Zelda Master Collection GameCube disc and ported it to VR for Dolphin VR. I get it now. I'm on board.
So that would be fun, and it's free, technically.
Mm-hmm.
Till someone, Nintendo won't.
Well, actually, no. As long as you have the ROM, you can download the reverse engineered emulator for free.
So then there you go.
Emulators are not illegal. Neither are ROMs, technically, as long as you ripped it yourself. But emulators are not illegal.
But also, speaking of Nintendo 64,
yes,
some bad news.
Let's get into this one before we close. So, Nintendo announced a couple of weeks ago that they were bringing Nintendo 64 games to the Switch via their online expansion pack. Now, this pack would cost you an additional $30 per month over the $20 that got you most of the NES and SNES library to get you, get this, like 12 games for the N64. Also the Sega Genesis, but who cares about that?
Yeah, okay.
So yeah. Oh, sorry. Per year, not per month. Per year.
Yeah.
So $20 per year to $50 per year.
Yeah, it increased.
It's still $30. It's still $30 more.
Increased it over 100%.
Right. Yeah.
For 12 games.
Right. Well, it also came with Sega Genesis games, but again,
12 games.
Who wants Urban Chaos again?
No one wants to play Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
I mean, Comic Zone, that's probably worth $5 on its own, but
maybe. But
the rest of the collection was N64. Anyway, so Switch, Nintendo launched this last week. Let's just say the reception has been lukewarm at best and vitriolic at worst. And the reason being is because Nintendo is using a homegrown Nintendo 64 emulator that apparently is pretty crap. So rather than porting these games to the Nintendo Switch proper, giving them any kind of modern makeover, widescreen support, higher textures, we didn't expect any of that. But what I did expect was a fully playable version of Zelda Ocarina of Time, or Star Fox 64, or Mario 64, or Pilot Wings.
Or Mario Kart, yeah.
I expected to be able to play these games as they were originally playable on the Nintendo 64. What we've been introduced with is, number one, no controller adaptations for the previously 6 face buttons for the reduction to 4 face buttons. So your button mapping is all over the place as far as what is C up, down, left, and right. For example, Ocarina of Time, where you can map weapons to that, as well as you have to play Ocarina tunes using that button mapping.
And you have to, they don't tell you.
Right. To things as bad as missing textures, misaligned textures, graphics being completely omitted entirely. There's Zelda Ocarina of Time has the fog inside the game is completely buggered up. So in Zelda, one of the big things is like Kokiri Forest. It's supposed to have distant fog to fade the tunnels out when you're far away on the map. However, the entire map has kind of this foggish appearance. There's other issues, like in the Water Temple, where the entire thing is supposed to be like this foggy lake and you're sitting in front of a solitary tree. There's no fog at all in that environment. So the water just kind of like stops on the invisible wall, where it didn't in the actual game. Now, some may say, well, that's a small price to pay Ocarina of Time, in which case, yeah, you're probably right. But when you add in the input latency that comes with Nintendo's poor emulation of these titles, as well as the other litany of graphical issues that go along with it, I'm not impressed.
Well, the problem is, okay, how far along have ROM and emulators been out for these games? Years. I mean, we were in high school and ROM emulators were available for these games.
Right?
That played very well. And they're like, you know what? We're going to sue all of these people, tell them to take it down and blah, blah, blah. And then 25 years from now, we're going to make our own. And it's horrible. We've learned we couldn't even steal.
And the hookers are going, I wouldn't do that.
Exactly. Yes. I was trying to make I couldn't think of
I knew you were going there, so I figured I'd finish it for you.
But that's what's so horrible. They're like, and you have to pay us $25 a year for this.
Right.
And it's like, why? People are, I want to play Ocarina of Time. I can go on my cell phone and find it somewhere from a friend who owned the system and ripped it himself.
Right.
You know, and
legally obtained, shall we say?
Obtained, yeah. And I could put it on my phone. It would run better on my phone than it does.
Here's the problem. And someone already said that Modern Vintage Gamer, MVG, over on YouTube, did a fantastic breakdown. I did watch his video today to kind of get a little bit of a deeper understanding of the shortfalls of the emulation. Here's the problem, is this would be a pass. And I'm paraphrasing MVG here. Nintendo would have gotten a pass if they matched community emulation efforts. Just match it. Just get the textures right. Get the 3-point mapping correct inside of Mario Kart. Get the fog correct inside of Zelda. Get the input latency down to an acceptable level on an LCD screen. You failed at everything. Like, yes, the game plays, and it plays at a native frame rate. Bravo. But on your own hardware, on the Nintendo Switch, there are homebrew emulators that are better than the service you're asking people to pay for. I mean, why is that a thing?
It might have even been cheaper for them to go buy the rights to one of these emulators and be like, this is our code now. And
you know, it could have been, but also at the same time, it's... People talk about porting a lot, and I don't think it would have taken much effort to port these games natively to Switch with some modern enhancements and control switches.
I agree with you. I just, everything of this is a lackluster, just screw up on Nintendo's side.
It really is. I mean, yes,
it's almost like a rookie programmer went in and the boss said, we need to have the N64 stuff, and he's like, he got pressured and never heard of ROMs. He's like a level 1 entry guy, and was so pressured his brain just forgot about all of the ports and emulators out there in the world that already have this. It's like, I gotta develop this myself. I'm gonna look up some YouTube video of how to do, you know, your own emulator. It's got to be done in 2 weeks. Here, boss, it kind of works.
Here, boss, can we charge people $30 a year for this? Yeah, that looks good to me. No, they probably could have licensed code from an emulator group. However, that also would have given legitimacy to an emulation group.
True.
Better yet, they could have spent a little bit of time porting some of these games natively to Switch hardware. Can you imagine Ocarina of Time just upscaled to 720p with widescreen graphics support and modern controller inputs? Like, how difficult would that actually be? There's a community effort right now to decompile Zelda Ocarina of Time, just like the Mario 64 decompilation project, which has resulted in 4K Mario 64 on literally any device you own. I have an Anbernic RG350, which is a single-core ARM processor running at like 500 megahertz, and it plays Mario 64 beautifully at 640p. It's only got a 640 by 480 screen. So it plays at native resolution at 30 FPS with no problem whatsoever. But the point remains that it doesn't take a lot of hardware to run these old games. And even novice coders can decompile this. What could you do if you had the source code? Which Nintendo has the source code to all of these games that they released. Why wasn't the effort put there?
Yeah.
That's what frustrates me.
Yeah, totally agree.
Is they could have shot for the moon and absolutely hit it, and I would have gladly given them an extra $30 a month or $30 a year to play these dozen Nintendo games in a modern environment.
That was the other complaint, is 12 games. I mean, come on, guys.
I will say, come on, guys, that's pretty pathetic. Now, I will say, from the internal programming perspective, that's probably all they can get to run on their homebrew emulator on their own, because they're too prideful to say, hey, Migan 64 or Project 64 or Mupen or whoever, like, can we license your emulator? No, they're not going to do that because they're Nintendo.
Yeah.
But there's something to be said for, there's only 12 games and you're charging me $30 extra per year. Like,
now, I guess if it was $30 and we're going to increase this and not increase the price, so we're going to increase the library, but the price will not increase.
They've said the library will increase to like 40 games by mid 2022, and there's already references to like Pokemon Snap and some other first party games that honestly are pretty good, like Mario Parties 1 through 5 and things like there's references to games like that, which will probably bring value to the platform eventually. But if they're on this same hokey emulation system that doesn't even meet community standards, let alone what I would hold Nintendo to for standards, it misses the mark for me.
Yeah. Hey, really quickly before we end here, I wanted to bring up a little bit of Star Trek talk because
let's do it.
It wasn't in the notes, but tomorrow, as far as we have lost Lower Decks, season finale hit. I don't know if you've watched it.
I have not watched. I'm up to episode 8, but I haven't watched 9 or 10 yet.
All right, so season finale, great finale. I enjoyed it. Enjoyed this season of Lower Decks much more so than the first season.
Honestly, the first season was great too. But I'm kind of with you. I loved the second season. It is so good.
I think this season really feels the stride. Like, oh, they know what they're doing.
Right.
They know where their jokes are hitting a lot better now. You can see
they hit way sooner than TNG did. I can tell you that much.
Oh, and DS9. But whatever.
Star Trek Prodigy.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to get. Captain Janeway, or Hologram Janeway, is making her premiere tomorrow.
Yes.
And the trailer has actually come out, and honestly, it actually doesn't look horrible.
Right.
The plot isn't 100% for certain. It looks like there's these kids who find this junker ship, kind of like in the latest Star Wars reboot.
What a piece of junk.
Yeah, kind of a thing, and it turned out to be this.
It'll make 0.5 past light speed.
But it's kind of.
I want to hear Janeway going, it'll make 0.5 past warp 4.
But there again, it's also been confirmed. Captain Chakotay,
yes,
will be reprising his role. We might even see Harry Kim, or if this does well,
I hope he's still an ensign.
Or even another Tom Paris.
I could use some more Robert Duncan McNeil in my life, honestly.
So that will be really cool. And the cool thing about this is on Nickelodeon or Paramount Plus.
Yep.
So if you are a Star Trek fan, you're trying to bring your kids into that universe. I am kind of hoping this is something I can even show my son.
Yeah.
And he might get into it and be like, oh, this is cool. It even kind of has some pretty cool animation, kind of Star Wars, Clone Wars, the higher end version.
It's kind of a cel-shaded 3D type animation from what I've seen of it, and very reminiscent of like Clone Wars and Wind Waker and things of that sort. Honestly, I think it it absolutely works. Now 100% it is an easier animation style to render faster than photorealistic. A lot of kids shows use similar animation styles to this as far as 3D rendering. It's not really, ray traced or light shaded or anything like that. It is basic environments with basic lighting and single shadows, if there even get full shadows. Sometimes they're just shadows under the characters, like little circles we got in the 90s. But that's not to say that the plot won't be good. And I'm certainly holding out hope that Star Trek Prodigy ends up as a great Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Even as, a guy in his mid-30s who grew up on Star Trek, I will take Star Trek in any genre and style that I can possibly get it, as long as it's good.
Oh, that's the thing, is this is still technically supposed to be canon.
Yep.
We don't know the year. That's the other thing. So this ship is an experimental ship. So it technically could be past Picard. Mm-hmm. It could be during Picard. We don't know. And that right there kind of gives some intrigue of like, okay, what's the technology aspect? And to me, that's another intriguing part for the, the mid-30s type of fanboy.
Yeah.
There's those little bits. You can tell though that Jane is still wearing her classic black and red uniform. Mm-hmm. So who knows? But she is a hologram, and we all know how much she loves holograms.
But we do know that Admiral Janeway is also canon as of First Contact. Was it First Contact or was it was Nemesis? Nemesis. Yeah. So Admiral Janeway is canon, and so the fact that she's Captain Janeway means that it was at least recorded between the end of Voyager and the beginning of Insurrection.
So interesting thing. So, but we don't know how long that ship's been sitting in the junkyard.
Right.
So, and it's supposed to be an experimental ship.
Yep. So. But it's a group of kids who comes across it, and they're basically learning how to pilot it based on Captain Janeway's instruction. And so
another thing we do see, another vehicle we do see is, I think it might have been Insurrection. Now, what was the one after First Contact with that was
Insurrection.
Insurrection. Yeah. They have off-road vehicles, and that makes an appearance back again. So,
Worf and his side-by-side.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is great to have multiple Star Trek shows to talk about again. I, for one, am thrilled. But I think that is going to wrap up episode 207 here on Talking Heads. Join us every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at Craft Computing. Follow John on Twitter at Hops and Brews. Make sure to subscribe to Hops and Brews over on YouTube if you like the beer content on this show. You'll get plenty more of it over on his channel. And in fact, I might drop by for a special guest appearance every once in a while.
Maybe
Friday,
maybe than most
Monday, maybe,
wink,
maybe,
wink. Maybe.
Yeah. Like this video if you liked it. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. If you're not subscribed, why in the hell are you here? I don't think there's anything else to plug. Go over to craftcomputing.store, grab yourself a pint glass, and start drinking like a pro. And as always, we will see you next Wednesday.
See you guys.
Cheers, everyone.